What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bare Basic Lawns. This week is kind of a little rough week for me. There's really not much going on in the lawn just because there's thunderstorms and real Texas weather out here, like they say, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes, and that is definitely the case here in Texas. Man, it was, sunny day today, it was beautiful, and then all of a sudden now, I'm sure you might hear it here in a minute. An isolated thunderstorm just creeping through. I was looking to really kind of kind of be productive, not necessarily mowing. We did get a lot of rain the past couple weeks. I mean, look at look at this. This is our little rain gauge out here. Ooh, look at all that rain. Look at all that out there. Ooh. This is our rain gauge here. 4.25 inches in a day and a half. That's the kind of rain you're talking out here in Texas. And even too, people online, I follow a couple pages on Bermuda grass, and they say you get tiger stripes in your lawn. Well, check this out. This is exactly what happens. And I figured that I got a lot of thatch out, but I guess that really wasn't the case. Check out all this tiger stripe action that is creeping in the lawn. So here we have some tiger stripes. That's exactly what it looks like. It looks like some stripes on a tiger, and all of that is thatch. So I'm going to try and get some of this cleaned up. As you can see, there is a storm coming. It will get crazy here in a minute. I do hear it off in the distance, but I'm going to try and get some of this thatch cleaned up. And I do want to try and trim this tree. I did it about a week or two ago. Try and trim. You can kind of see that I shaped this side right here, and this side I necessarily didn't touch, so I'm looking to clean that up. I see some people, vacuum it up. I'm just gonna hand pick it just because with the rain coming right now, I don't really want to get my shop vac in the mud, and especially in this little corner right here, get it all muddy, and with the rain coming, get some water on it. I'm sure that's it'll be fine, but I like to treat my things nice and make sure it lasts, because stuff like that ain't cheap, and any type of equipment nowadays ain't cheap, so I try and make sure to take care of my equipment. This is kind of like some daily shenanigans stuff. I'm just looking to kind of do things, not necessarily mow, spray, fertilize, you name it, things that you would actually do in the lawn. This is, like I say, this is a little vlog channel, so I like to do some other things and, show you what I do and maintain the lawn, and it looks okay right now. It is coming through. The fertilizer is making it look a lot more greener. It looks kind of kind of stripy with the tiger stripes, just because of all this rain and all the thatch is washing away. And so I'm just looking to clean that up. Let's go ahead and get this cleaned up right now. While I still have a few minutes, the rain still seems, a little ways away, but you never know in Texas, wait 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and try and get some of this cleaned up really quick. Now, I wanted to real quick before it starts raining, you might hear it right now over in the distance, but it is getting a lot closer. Now, you want to make sure to get rid of these kinds of things in your lawn, because just like leaves and trees, it will dye out your lawn a little bit to where, like the sun isn't hitting it, and that's why, like, especially in Bermuda, you want to have no trees and lots of sun. You know, that's why I mean, like, you know, like on this side of the house, on this side, you know, it doesn't get much sunlight, and that's why this side of the house sucks. And there's, you know, moss and not that much grass, and even, you know, even where I first started in this corner, you know, you can, you can see all of this area right here. It just doesn't grow because it doesn't get shade, and that's what this will do. Let me show you real quick before it starts to rain. So where I first started, you can see this blue. Let me try and get in there. You can see this dark line right there. That was one of the tiger stripes there. You know, it was, you know, it was definitely like one of these right here. You know, so the lawn is burning out because there's buildup, you know, necessarily like leaves and trees, you know, like I just mentioned. So you want to make sure to try and get all this up, you know, especially like right now with the rain, you know, it might wash away, it might not. So, but, you know, this is a free dethatch, you know, look how much stuff I already picked up. You know, this is a little 5-gallon bucket, you know, and it's already kind of like a quarter filled, you know, so, hey, you know, it's a free dethatch in my opinion, you know. So I'm gonna keep going, you know, it's definitely coming right now. So let me go ahead and keep going. I have a special helper. Hi, Danny. That's our cat, Danny. She always comes and helps me. Say hi, Danny. All right, guys, I got to stop because it's hailing. And this is like kind of like not necessarily a first, but for me in here in Texas, I've been here just over 4 years. I did have a little hailstorm, but it's starting to come down. So I'm gonna take a pause break really quick. Maybe that was a close call. Maybe it was just some really fat rain, but it is definitely raining now. It looks like we're gonna get burnt out. What I really wanted to do, which sucks because I wanted to trim that tree down and really take away some of this thatch. But you know what? Hey, maybe it might bring up some more. You know, it is kind of like, I mean, a free dethatch, you know. So I think there's going to be maybe a couple of day video segment here. I don't think I'm going to get back into it at this point of time just because the ground already is so saturated, you know, and, you know, so like, I mean, you know, the water goes this way. That's why you saw the stripes going this way, because it's running this way. So the water comes this way and goes down here and goes over here. That's why over here, you know, you kind of see all this, you know, you see some more stripage down there and so on, and, you know, and that's my little experiment flag that's still in there. It's starting to die. It will take a couple of applications to make sure they fully go away, you know, but it is working. That's kind of really about it for today, guys. Sorry I couldn't get much more done, you know, with this rain here, you know, but let's go ahead and let's just go ahead and enjoy it, you know. Let's just take a moment. I hope that was as calming as it was for you. For me, I love the rain, you know. It's a very peaceful kind of therapeutic kind of thing, you know, for me. And I love listening to the rain. And, you know, especially like right now, you know, you hear the thunder and the lightning and you see some flashes. But out here, you know, when it's above your head and it's above your house, and man, it's alive out here, you know. And I don't know if you can hear that, but you know, it's definitely storming out in the distance. You know, I think maybe we're on the outside of it, but I emptied out the rain gauge. It was at just about 4 1/4. It looks like it's already getting to a quarter, and not even the 10 minutes that it's already been happening. So that's what I mean. It rains out here, and you know, when I can, I try and do these little daily shenanigan things, you know, and clean up the lawn, and you know, the in between of the mowing and the fertilizing and those kinds of things, you know. So like right now, drainage is important. You know, like right now it's puddling up, and you know, I think that's why some of the areas over here, you know, along with the fence line and the you know, like the back corner, you know, like this back corner, and along the other side of the house, you know, it's just poor drainage. You know, these builders, you know, they just slap these houses together. You know, they don't care as long as they get their money and go. That's really all they care about. You know, for the most part, it's just poor drainage. I just got to work on it a little bit more. I think I will try plugging. I'm gonna try and get, like, you know, you see all this buildup, and it just is mud or dirt, or, you know, whatever the pad of the sod it comes on is mainly all it is. And I think coming up here in the next couple weeks, I'm gonna try and plug it, you know, and see if that'll work. You know, take some good grass and fill in these holes, and maybe it might grow back. And that's also why too, like some, you know, like some of these like little, you know, you might see some big stragglers coming through. I try and help it with the lawn of my neighbor's lawn, and you know, necessarily feed the runners through the fence, and you know, try and, you know, help my side too as well. You know, it does kind of help out a little bit. Not as much as I would like, you know, as far as like if you were to sod it or something, you know. So, but for the meantime, it's okay, you know. Man, look, you know, see, this is what I mean by that's, you know, that's what I'm saying. These daily shenanigans, I really got to take care of this French drain, because it's just puddling up, and it's not working. Let me see. So you can see the puddling up right there. I will saw the back tree here in a minute, but you can see the you know, I need to get some downspouts and everything for it too, but you can see that's not necessarily draining, and then you can just see it puddling bad right here. You know, these French drains really aren't necessarily helping. So today is Tuesday. Like I said, I think this is going to be a kind of like a multi-day kind of deal. Maybe I'll post it today and, you know, keep going with it. You know, I don't know. I'll see. But for the meantime, that's kind of what I was trying to do. I wanted to trim the tree. I think I might get it over the weekend. There really is no rain after Friday, I think it is. Friday is the last day. Then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it's kind of like partly cloudy and, you know, not necessarily raining. But for the meantime, as always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for staying with me. Always like, subscribe, comment, and as always, I'll catch you in the next video.
They're basic lawns where the green grass grows, East Texas skies and a gentle breeze